reduce the security deposit for the Voc Center, and are providing a facility monitor for each rental to check in and check out renters, monitor the event, and troubleshoot any issues. The one thing we weren't able to get to tonight, but I will announce, is that there will be a Little Mountain Improvement Celebration on Friday, May 13th at 5:30 to 7 at the Little Mountain Lower parking lot. We're gonna be celebrating all the great improvements to the site. And then we have the 25th Street Playground Celebration, which will be held Friday, May 20th at 5:30. We're gonna celebrate our new playground that was just installed. And we ended our meeting tonight at 6:55.
Thank you, Mary. Next up, report is our Committee of the Whole report. It's Councilmember Gary Molinar. Gary.
Okay, we called the Committee of the Whole meeting on March 30th at 6:01 p.m. to open. First up, we had a discussion of city employee classification and compensation. Ms. Cater reviewed the process in the study that was completed by public sector personnel consultants. The proposed changes included combining salary schedules, setting 8 steps in each range, and an implementation date of May 1st, 2022. Council then discussed the placement of the police and fire chiefs on the salary schedule as well, and as whether or not the elected position of mayor should be included in that salary schedule. Because we were long-winded, we convened at 6:59, and then after the regular meeting, we reconvened at 8:14 to keep the discussion going. We talked about the police and fire chiefs and mayor's salary continued. Council directed staff to conduct additional review of job descriptions, the chiefs and the mayor's compensation. The topics were placed on the April 6, 2022 Public Safety Committee for continued discussion. I think we're off on that. Anyway, and then miscellaneous for the good of the order, Councilmember Morales stated that May 6th is National Provider Appreciation Day and would like the city to make a proclamation of acknowledgement. And we adjourn the meeting at 8:47.
All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and reschedule our Development Services Committee report, so if the clerk can make a note for that next agenda, that'd be great. Thank you. All right, I am under B, community comments. First up is a review of emails from the public. I'm told there were no emails this time to review, so we'll move on to public comments, and I'm hoping we have some comments from our visitors here today. So I'll go ahead and invite anyone if they'd like to come to the podium. Please state your name, city of residence, comments around 3 to 5 minutes. So thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Buenas tardes, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Miguel Perry. I'm a member of Local 70. I don't reside here. I reside in Arlington. But our local charter, Local 70, charters in Mount Vernon, Washington. And the reason that I'm here today is because of the upcoming Mount Vernon Library Commons project. If you are a Local 70 member, would you stand just right now? So you can stand. Okay, so some of our members are here today. Just want to thank you so much. So presently, Local 70 has about 2,000 carpenters. Like I said, our charters in Mount Vernon, and a good number of them live with their families in Mount Vernon, also in Skagit County. You may not know this, but the Carpenters Union, Local 70, we have a state-of-the-art training center in Burlington, where hundreds of apprentices and also journeyman carpenters are being trained for the needed workforce of today and tomorrow. And I would like to invite all of you to come to the training center. It's very impressive, and watch young men and young women build things. And so I want to invite you to that, and you have my card, and feel free to reach out to me, and we'll make it happen. The reason for that, the Carpenters Union understands the importance of providing a skilled labor workforce to owners to be able to complete their projects in time and on budget. In fact, the Carpenters Union spends $240 million a year to make training available to their membership. You ask for community support in your city website. You ask the community to send letters using a template to the Honorable Pete Buttigieg regarding the $10 million raise grant needed to have the project 98% funded. Our members came together and we sent emails to that email that was provided. We responded in support of the grant. I'm asking you today to choose wisely who you will choose as the general contractor for the Mount Vernon Library project. You're not required to give it to the lowest bidder. You're required to give it to the lowest responsible bidder. And that's a question. How do we define responsible and having that in the bid documents? Because not everybody plays by the same rules. And I'm not here to say that there's some good non-union contractors out there, but I'm always concerned about the subcontractors they use as well. When you use a union contractor, the subcontractors are union as well. And many tradesmen benefit from that in this community. So would you consider having responsible bidder language in your bid docs to ensure that the bidding is fair for all contractors? If you need help with any of that, we make ourselves available to help you with any of that. I just want to say thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. And I'll absolutely open it up for more people to speak, but I am thrilled that you know about the project, you're watching it, you're supporting our project. We've been working with the electrical apprentices as well, and so we're thrilled to hear from you tonight, so thank you. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Petrus, Local 70 out of Anacortes, Washington. I'm a fourth generation Skagitonian. My grandfather was chief criminal detective for the Sheriff's Department. My dad, Nick Petrus, served on the Civil Service Board with Skagit County. I'm raising my children in Anacortes. My son goes to Skagit Valley College. And I'm an instructor at the facility that Miguel was just referring to, the North Puget Sound Carpenters Training Center. I'm 22 years in the trade. I went through the apprenticeship myself, and it is an extraordinary program that we make available to both men and women who want to follow in the construction industry. And if this project, God willing, will go to a union contractor, it will just not be carpenters that are employed. It will be pipe fitters. It will be electricians. It will be laborers. It will be iron workers coming together to build a facility that serves the community. And the people that are here, my brothers and sisters that are in our fellow trades, live in Skagit County. We pay taxes in Skagit County, and it's always a joy to be a part of a program that gives back to the community. My first union job was actually the new public library in Anacortes as the first period apprentice. And so I've seen through my career the enormous amount of commitment that we have at all levels that we're involved in. So I ask you to consider apprenticeship utilization and how that benefits not only the contractors but benefits the community and the future generations of apprentices that will go on to become journeymen in whatever the profession may be. And I encourage you and invite you to come check out our facility so you can see firsthand our dedication to the amount of effort that we put into training for our new apprentices to train the future workforce and the leaders of our industry. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am also a carpenter out of Local 70, and my kids actually do go to school, or did go to school. They all graduated from Bulldogs up here, that we are now remodeling a building. That is also union carpenters working on that. We definitely would like to see the library. We've heard about talks about the library coming for a while now, and we've all been excited. We live here in town, live up off of 27th, and I got family. It's been in this valley for a long time. Gone to school here myself, and graduated from Skagit Valley College. Wouldn't ask for a better place to live. Love this community, and I definitely would love to see work closer to home than Seattle. Going with the union trades, like we said, professionally trained. We have classes, all of our trades, you know, the carpenters, the electricians, the laborers, we all have classes that make sure that the people that are on your jobs, building your buildings, are qualified to be there. And our apprentices, which we have here in our audience also, this is one of my young apprentices that now works with me, and we are building an Everett Clinic in Lake Stevens. The apprentices work with the journeyman. They're never left on their own to do their own thing, like maybe somewhere else, but I just ask for your support that we keep it union and keep working families fed, and the union's done amazing things for me over the years, and you know, our original hall is just a block or so over here, and where we first started off, 1532, and we've been in this community for a long time. I hope you guys support it, and go union with our in the bitter language, and make sure we have fair contract for the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Neil Davis. I came to Skagit Valley in 2015, and since then, I've grown here. I love it here. I will never go back to Whatcom County. This place is beautiful. When I came here, I happened to get in bed with so many amazing people. I was accepted to go into Leadership Skagit 2018, and with that, we were out at Camp Corey doing the amphitheater. We called on the union to come out and give us a hand. They were slotted for so many days. Well, as if you've ever been out there, that project grew and grew. They kept coming. They're amazing. I've been helping out with the Friendship House, Community Action, Rotaries. You know, it's a beautiful area, and I would love to see this grow even more with this library union work, because like Ira said, she hasn't seen me in so long, because I'm always in Seattle working, you know, mad hours. I would like to work local, at a local union job, so I could take that time, instead of using it for travel time, using it to give back to my community even more. So please think, go local, go union. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Right, okay.
Let's come up a little bit. There we go. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, council members, and thank you so much for your time and listening to us all tonight. My name is Lisa Marks, and I am also a member out of Carpenters Local 70, and I also had the gift of being able to discover apprenticeship. My story is a little different because I didn't find that gift until I was 43 years old as a single mom struggling to survive, and during a hard economy time, I had lost everything, went bankrupt, and by luck, I had friends that told me about getting into apprenticeship, and I was able to change my life and my family's life by finally having a living wage career that I could raise my kids with and grow my family. And it inspired me so much that I made it my mission to continue that. So as I journeyed out, I did go to work for our training program as well, doing outreach, and I've worked with many schools and CTE programs and other city councils, tarot programs, Department of Corrections, all of these different areas that can bring this gift of apprenticeship to underrepresented populations, people that don't think about it. So not only is there apprenticeship, but there's also pre-apprenticeship and CTE programs where we can get our young people. I'm working right now with Northwest Youth Services up in Bellingham, which is helping homeless youth find these opportunities. So it's loving up the communities and the people in the communities and helping them to build the community. I mean, what cooler thing would it be than to see this library be built by folks that are learning? So not only will they be learning this career through the trades, but they will also be building a facility where people will be able to learn, you know. You know, I just wanted to to have you guys consider that utilizing apprenticeships. So when you're thinking about your responsible bidders, think about bidders that are gonna be able to utilize these apprenticeship programs and give people in your own community the ability to have these living wage jobs. You know, you guys will be funding this contractor, this bidder. They will be paying these folks to go through apprenticeship programs, and they'll be spending it back in the community. They'll be growing their families, they'll be buying homes, they'll be spending local. You know, it all comes around. So please take that into consideration when you're considering your responsible bidder for these contracts. And you know, if you guys would like to learn anything more about programs in your areas or resources or you know, what's happening in your schools and your CTE programs, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Salutations all. My name is Brother Tiny, or Robert Villagomez II, my government name. I'm currently living in Mukilteo, Washington, but I will hopefully be a Mount Vernon resident very near future. Excuse me, I'm nervous.
That's okay.
I am a recent graduate from the Carpenters Local 70 Training Center. I did the 4-year apprenticeship program, and I'm here to talk about the Mount Vernon Public Library project. I'm hoping that the city will choose to award the bid to a union signatory contractor that will employ many union trade workers that live in the area, specifically Mount Vernon, and specifically Mount Vernon carpenters. I would honestly love to be able to work in my backyard, so that way I can spend all my hard-earned money here in Mount Vernon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brother Tiny. You did great. Great. Anyone else? You're welcome to come on up. Okay.
Hello, Council. Didn't see much of the local guys. I'm from Mount Vernon, raised in Mount Vernon my whole entire life, Carlos Barajas. And so I'm on the Mount Vernon project. I'm also an apprentice, thought I'd throw that out there too. I love the apprenticeship. Been mainly in Whatcom County, so I'd really appreciate it or love it more than anything to work here so locally. This library seems like a fun project that I would love to do more than anything. I mean, from groundbreaking to finish, our company just mainly does the framing, and I'd love to learn from dirt work to the finished product. And I'll keep it nice and short. Seems like all the brothers and sisters beat me to all the good answers that you guys wanted to hear. So I'll let you guys go with that. I just figured since I was here from Mount Vernon, say something. Thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, don't want to miss anyone, so. Okay. Oh, are you coming? Come on up.
I'll keep it very brief. My name is Lauren Huggins. I am a journeyman carpenter, Local 70. I'm incredibly proud to stand with these men and women. My grandparents came to Cedar Woolley in the 1930s and started Cedar Woolley Auto Parts. My dad was born in Cedar Woolley. I was raised in Cedar Woolley, and I've lived all my life in Skagit County. And I practice the trade of carpentry for a living because it's the thing that I want to do with my life. It's my life's work. I think all of the keynotes have been hit. What I want to say is I spent my childhood in the current Mount Vernon Public Library. I would bug my mom to take me to check out books. my kids bug me to take them to the library to check out books, and we use, you know, all of the different branches of the Skagit library system. I am looking forward to this project commencing. I am very, very hopeful that my brothers and sisters will get to work in this project, and not only so that the community can access the benefits of the apprenticeship, which has been touched on, but also so that we can deliver a superior building, a superior product that my kids and all of the other kids of the community can gain from. It's my hope that you consider what's been said so that we can come in and do an A+++ job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll go ahead and close public comment. Again, thank you all for being here, and your words of support on the project are a little emotional for me, so thank you for being here. Sometimes it's a lonely discussion here with council, not that they're bad people, I love them all, but it's so nice to know that the community has seen this project and followed it and knows that we're getting very close to deciding, and so thank you for that. All right, item C tonight is council member comments. Any council member comments?
I'll start off.
Go ahead, Juan.
Just want to thank everybody that's here in the room. Repeating sort of what Mayor Boudreaux was saying, it's nice to see other individuals in the room other than just us. We always have good conversations, but it's always great to see different faces in the audience. So thank you all for coming, and also thank you for the comments that you all delivered. So thank you.
Okay, great. Any other council member comments? Iris?
I just would like to say thank you for all of you coming and support our project. And it's your project, it's our dream, it's your dream for our children, for your children. And was very emotional to hear all of you with the comments and the good hopes and good desire to come and be part of this project. It's absolutely amazing to hear voices then support projects like this. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your support, for your letters, your emails, and for what you do in the community. Thank you.
All right. Any other council member comments?
I don't think anything else needs to be said. We appreciate you coming very much. It's awesome. It is really awesome to see people out there that aren't just city employees. I have to say, that's what we usually, I mean, we love our city employees, Peter, okay? But it's so nice to see people out here and participating in government and sharing your voices, and we thank you so much for coming.
I'll just add, you better prepare for an influx of phone calls because this is televised, and people might find out about your apprentice program and be calling and signing up. So thank you for I'd like to thank you for the apprenticeship program.
Yep.
Because I think it's a great program. There's a lot of young people out there that don't want to go to college. They want to learn a trade. I think that you're offering a great opportunity to learn that trade. So thanks for that service.
All right, moving on then. Item D tonight is our committee agenda requests. And I think Councilmember Carias has one. So.
Yes, I would like to request to be allowed to bring Dr. Brown, who's a photographer, and Alfred Courier, who's an artist, on May 25th, be part of our agenda for 15 minutes presentation in recognition of the hard work of our relatives in the fields as producer of the tulip scraps.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other committee agenda requests tonight? Okay. Moving on, we have no unfinished business. Now we've got to do our work. So under new business tonight, item A is the appointment to the Planning Commission, and our Development Services Director, Chris Phillips, is going to introduce these two particular items. We'll go one by one now.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. City staff recommends City Council authorize the mayor to appoint Kirk Johnson as a City of Mount Vernon Planning Commissioner Mr. Johnson previously served as a planning commissioner back in the late 90s. He's also completed all required training and attended a 5 April Planning Commission meeting. If you had an opportunity to read his resume, you'll find that not only was he a legislative assistant, but also a policy analyst, public policy consultant, as well as associate planner and senior planner. So definitely a background in the planning world, and as I mentioned, from looks like the mid 90s all the way through 2017 was here in Skagit County, so is familiar with the area. So would be a welcomed addition to the Planning Commission, and his term would end in the December 2023 timeframe. So, city
So
staff.
I move that council ratify the mayor's appointment of Kirk Johnson to the planning commission.
Second. Motion by Mark and second by Melissa. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. And
Now, I apologize,
I don't
I've
think
never
Kirk's
met
here.
Mr. Johnson. I'm not sure if he's here this evening.
Nope.
No, okay.
We'll take care of his official swearing in.
You got it. Thanks,
next
Mayor.
time. No worries. All right, go ahead with agenda item B, another appointment to the planning
Sure
commission.
thing. City staff recommends city council authorize the mayor to appoint Morgan Curry as a City of Mount Vernon Planning Commissioner. Ms. Curry is currently the executive director of Skagit Gleaners, which is a local food recovery and rescue program. She was born and raised here in Skagit Valley, earned a Bachelor of Arts from Western and a master's from Seattle University, and she has attended the April 5th Planning Commission meeting as well as completed the required training as well. Development Service staff recommends the appointment of Morgan Curry as a Planning Commissioner, and her term will expire in December of 2025.
All right, any questions?
I'm delighted to forward the motion to place Morgan Curry on the planning commission.
Second.
All right, motion by Mary and a second by Iris. Oh, discussion, Gary?
Yeah, who are they replacing? Or who is coming off?
So one spot was vacant,
Okay.
and the other spot was Chris Bollinger, and Chris's wife came down with a very serious medical condition and was unable to fulfill his position, so he stepped down.
Okay, great. So we'll be fully staffed.
Fully, first time in a while,
while.
so very happy with that.
Sounds good.
All right, any other questions? All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. And
Morgan?
Ms. Curry
right,
is
there
here,
we
so
go.
we'd like to make it
Only
official.
mentioned in Zoom, so that's good. Okay, very nice meeting you.
Thank you.
The mouse right here.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna have you go ahead and raise your right hand.
Go ahead and repeat after me. So I, and then state your name,
I, Morgan Curry,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Washington,
of the state of Washington,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
the duties of Mount Vernon Planning Commission member
the duties of Mount Vernon Planning Commission member
for the city of Mount Vernon,
for the city of Mount Vernon,
county of Skagit,
county of Skagit,
state of Washington,
state of Washington,
according to law,
according to law,
to the best of my ability and understanding.
to the best of my ability and understanding.
Congratulations.
Just sign here, and I'll give you one to take with you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. One for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll see you at the next planning commission meeting.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Morgan. Thank you. We're always so grateful for those willing to serve, so thank you to Mr. Johnson and Ms. Curry. All right, moving on to item C tonight. It is a Skagit Valley Family YMCA update, and Jennifer Berner, our Parks and Enrichment Director, will introduce this item.
Good evening, Council. So just wanted to circle back with you in regards to the ongoing conversations that the city's been able to have with the Skagit Valley YMCA. As we all know, in 2017, the city entered into an agreement with the Y for $500,000 over 10 years. In 2019, we started the first outsource of fulfilling that agreement, and then COVID hit in 2020. And everything had to shut down, and so it was once the community started opening up, the YMCA and the city started having conversations again about what that could look like in regards to services for exchange. And through those conversations, we've kind of gone through a lot of reiterations, and we thought it would be important for the council to have an update from Dean Snyder, who is the CEO of the Mount Vernon, or the Skagit Valley Family YMCA. Sorry about that. It's right there in Mount Vernon. I always think it's ours. We have to share. But he's here this evening to just give you an update about the Y, also about the Oasis Teen Center, and just on different possibilities of ways that we could continue to work together in the future. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dean, and we're happy to answer any questions at the end of his presentation.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for allowing me to come speak. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to speak to you. I'm grateful for your leadership. Leadership is tough at the best of times. These last 2 years have been excruciating, and thank you for your service and for standing together. The Skagit Valley Y, our mission is on the screen. We're here to serve our community, just like you are, and it makes us natural partners, and I'm privileged to be a partner with you. The Skagit Valley Y has several assets or aspects. Oftentimes you think about the building in the picture, and that is our building that we have initiated an agreement over. It's a major part of what we do, but we also have child care throughout our county, both early learning and school age. We're active here on multiple sites in Mount Vernon. Our sports center, we're active there, although we're just starting to get back active again after the pandemic. Oasis is an emergency shelter for teens, and a drop-in center for teens, and an outreach center for teens. And we partner with many folks in that area as well. All these areas of our Y we serve right here in Mount Vernon. So although we are the Skagit Valley Family Y, and we serve across our county, Mount Vernon is clearly a very large part of our work. The pandemic has been tough, so I'm going to give a little bit of an update. My father used to say to me, it doesn't matter what happens to you, it matters how you respond to what happens to you. So I'll talk a little bit of that. We all know about the pandemic and what happened. How do we respond? Our response was to serve our community in as many ways as we possibly could. Children still needed to learn. We pivoted in those childcare sites. Instead of just being open across the board, we actually started serving specifically emergency care workers, hospital workers, essential workers. Our childcare specialists, our childcare providers were considered essential service to keep those other folks working and serving the rest of our community in a time of need. We worked in food. We partnered with Skagit Gleaners, and I'm grateful we partner. And Morgan, congratulations. It's great to have you in the Planning Commission. Partnered with Gleaners feeding our neighbors. We partnered with Skagit, with Community Action, providing showers for people who don't have houses. And our Early Learning Center cooks, who normally cook for children, were making meals for people that they could take home after their showers. These were really difficult times in those first few months, and then as we started up in the school year again, when we thought it was going to be over and we knew very clearly, we could see very clearly it wasn't, we had to act again, partnering with the school districts across our county, but in Mount Vernon here, specifically Mount Vernon School District, we had several sites where we worked with our teachers in the classrooms when certain families had to have their kids at school. And they did virtual learning. Teachers were teaching from home virtually. Our teachers were in the classrooms of our schools here in Mount Vernon and across the county. But in Mount Vernon, we were working with paras, helping these kids learn in a very difficult situation across the board through that whole year of virtual school. We reached out and looked for grants. OSPI provided a grant for us so that we could start to offer that care. We could drop the price for care 50%, pass that on to parents, pass that savings on to families. And with those savings also, we were able to open up 2 additional classrooms, partnering with a new partner for us, Children of the Valley, an organization here who I just have tremendous respect for the work that they do. We're continuing to partner with Children of the Valley. We have some assets to be able to help them, and we have much to learn from COV as well, as does much of our community in the way that they work. They're a tremendous partner. As we started this school year, we've been back into swim lessons. Swim lessons in the pool are a significant part of what we do. Traditionally, we've offered swim lessons for 4th graders across the Mount Vernon School District. And this last year, we've been offering swim lessons for 4th and 5th graders, because this year's 5th graders were last year's 4th graders who didn't get swim lessons. In a community like ours, where we have this beautiful river running through it, we've got multiple lakes, and we've got the sound. All this fabulous water presents a danger to kids. Every child needs to learn how to swim, and our Y is here to help make that happen. We prioritize kids in the pool, which oftentimes creates a challenge for some who just want a nice, quiet place to swim. And it's not a nice, quiet place. It's an exuberant, exciting place if you like that kind of thing, which I really do. I'm really excited about some of the work we've been doing with Mount Vernon School District in this last several months, bringing all the 50 elementary school kids from each of the elementary schools in Mount Vernon to after-school program for activity, learning, and food. And the school district are choosing children who they believe have a need. So for kids who have one way or another, their system is not serving. We've heard Dr. Vivanco speak about how they do a really good job, but there are still some children who it's not their deficit, not their deficit at all, but it's the system that hasn't found a way to serve their needs very well. And they're selecting some of those kids, and those kids are coming to the Y after school. At last night's board meeting, one of my mission moments was just let's be quiet for a moment and just listen to those kids in the next room. It's lovely to hear the squeals of delight. And fun as they are. At that time, they were eating. That's been going on all year, and we're going to continue that through the summer. For the first time this summer, our Camp Anderson project. Camp Anderson serves about 50 students over 10 weeks of the summer. 50 students each week for 10 weeks in the summer. For the first time ever, we'll be able to open spots for scholarship, 15 spots every week of scholarship for kids who would otherwise never had opportunity to go to camp. This is a new opportunity that I'm really excited for, and I'm hoping that we can grow that program so we can offer it to a higher percentage. We're also trying to grow our capacity out at Camp Anderson so we can serve more than 50 kids each one of those weeks. One of the next projects, in order to do that, we'll have to create some infrastructure out there, bathrooms, septic, and so forth, so we can keep it clean. Lots of projects along those lines. So serving is the thing that we did in response. That's a thing that we had to do, the first thing. The second thing was really try to sustain our Y. A Y is a not-for-profit business. Oftentimes it's called non-profit. I don't like that term very much because it gives the wrong idea. It's a business, but its purpose is not profit. Our purpose is building community. So all the margin, if we make any margin, goes back into community or to sustain us so that we can continue. That's different than a corporation, for instance. By law, corporations' goal, its purpose, is profits for shareholders, not for profit. In a not-for-profit, our purpose is building the community that we exist in. And so we have to find ways to sustain. The building that we've moved into on Hogue Road is a spectacular building, and what an amazing capital campaign of 2017 that this community put together to make that place possible. And thank you for your participation in that, and thank you for your partnership in that. But under the plan, as it was, our Y still has had about a $12.3 million mortgage on that building. Every month, that building required us, and we're still in an interest-only arrangement. Thankfully, Banner Bank has extended that out. We're grateful for Banner in that aspect as well. But a mortgage like that costs an expense on interest about $45,000 every month of interest expense. That's just to exist, so that we still are, in charge of that space. Thankfully, Banner Bank doesn't want to be in charge of that space. So what do? We took action and we participated in the Paycheck Protection Plan that the federal funds helped support 2 levels of that. We were able to gain sustaining dollars for that and have both of those turned into grants as well, forgiven for grants. That was very helpful. The ERTC has been applied for. We qualified. We expect to gain those funds later in the year, and hopefully those will come in. We were able to seek out some of our original campaign donors, our largest donors to the campaign, and we were able to buy down that mortgage sum, which was really significant, about $1.5 million that community members came in and they said, yeah, we'll step up and we'll help make a difference. And so again, this community continues to give to itself. It's a remarkable place. I gotta agree with our friends from the 70, the Union 70, Local 70. This is an amazing community, and I'm really proud to live here as well. We've gone out and done all sorts of grant writing, sought after federal funds, gained several different grants, state funds. We were able to gain some capital funding to help us renovate Oasis, which was built during the last pandemic, quite interestingly enough, 1918, and now is dearly needing some renovation. So we've been really active at trying to sustain our Y, and one thing it's really come to is that our focus really needs to be on rebuilding membership. The pandemic, when we had to close the building, our membership, we lost about 50% of our membership and corresponding revenue from that membership revenue. And the membership, a healthy membership model at the Y will help us sustain all of our heart programs, all of our mission programs. But we have to focus on building a healthy membership, which means healthy access to all the spaces and all the things that are going on there as well. And sustaining the Y for me really means, I'm gonna go to this one, really means building for the future, because the children are the future. Our Y was established in 1911. We've been here over 100 years. This new building was designed to be here for another 100 years, and we need to make sure we can sustain. So Jennifer mentioned this, and I'm here really, so that's where we are now. Jennifer mentioned our contract and our agreement, and I'm really grateful for the time Jennifer has put in to negotiate and communicate with our operations and finance officer, Sarah Weems. They've worked hard together to look for opportunities to exchange value. Value is a hard thing in this sense to quantify. I'm not interested in nickel and diming in that quantification. I am really just interested in meeting the needs of our community. So one of the things that we came up with that I think is a plan moving forward. Our board actually voted in support of this plan last night at our board meeting, and it is to alter our current agreement. The current agreement makes it difficult for us to be able to provide specific space on that agreement for Mount Vernon residents. We're already doing that, and as the way I explained in so many different ways. We're serving Mount Vernon residents in so many ways already. It's hard to quantify that to that particular dollar amount that the city has committed here. And so with that, we really think that, and our focus needs to be on building membership opportunities at our Y instead of creating new programs there on current, on that current contract. So we'd like to see us shift the arrangement from Hogue Road and access to Hogue Road for city members, rather shifting it to Oasis. And Oasis is a remarkable place. It's a teen homeless shelter. The stories that come out of that place, why children end up, and I say children because 13-year-olds are children and they are there because they don't have a place. Or a parent's partner has hurt them, or several other just terrible stories. Or they're just looking to find who they are, and finding who they are is not available in their current setting. So this is a necessary place, and we'd like to see us shift those dollars there. That what remains, well, what we've come up with to make right for 2020 is a good arrangement, I think. It's gift certificates that the city has agreed that they can distribute, and we love that. That's excellent. We'll provide that in the dollar amount that we agreed to. I think that's a good plan. Moving forward, there's still $50,000 a year for 8 years. If we could shift that to Oasis, that would really help us sustain Oasis. The Y is already supporting it at Oasis at a higher level than that. This will help us meet that gap and allow us to shift some of our resources into programs or something else. I wanted to share a little bit about our numbers at Oasis. Mayor Boudreau thought this might be helpful. The top chart is our funding of Oasis for this current year, 22. That middle line that says expense, that's our budget line, that's our intended, our largest expense is our staff. These are the people who are caring for the young people. And that's our expense line. The line to the left of it is what's funded so far. The line to the right of it, the column to the right of it, that's our delta. That's what we don't have for this current year. $50,000 from the city puts a pretty big dent in that and really helps us. This current year operations, however, is also funded by an OSPI grant. Next year in 2023, that OSPI grant goes away. That's roughly $300,000 to support the operations there. And so we'll be looking for that funding as well. So there is a large delta for Oasis support that these dollars could be making a difference for. And I think that was the point. Over the last 3 years, this is how the proportion of our budget has been spent out. We've got numerous grants that that do support the Y. The county is supporting the Y, supporting Oasis. We've had supports from the city, from the Skagit Community Foundation and others. But there's always a delta that we have to fundraise for, and your help in shifting our agreement to that will make a big difference. And with that, I'm glad to take any questions.
Any questions for Dean on the presentation? What I would hope we could do, being presented with some ideas and some needs, is that we would put this back on a city council committee, and then be able to talk through the presentation and the idea, and then keep going on agreements and figuring that out. Does that sound like a plan for council?
Yeah, I'd like to figure out where we could take the money, where the money could come from, because I know it can't come from the monies that we had set aside. The way I understand it is that it can't come from the monies we already set aside or promised.
There's discussions around help for indigent
Okay.
folks, but
Okay.
it's certainly lots to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks to me like we could make a simple contract amendment and just shift those dollars, maybe over to the Oasis Center.
We'd certainly agree to that.
Any other? Richard, go ahead.
Well, yes, just thank you for your time, for your staff's time, for all the programs at the Y. It's an amazing community resource. I'm glad that the city's a part of that, and the teen shelter as well. It's so essential for this community. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that being on committee. I did want to also thank Councilmember Beaton for being on the board of directors during the campaign in 2017, and for your patience and perseverance in asking us to have another conversation with the Y. So thank you, Melissa.
You're very welcome. It is no secret that the Y is a passion of mine. It was big for me when I was young. It was huge for my children, and now as I age, it's even more important to me. But it is just, over 100 years in this community. And we have gone through a lot with the pandemic, and there are children in our schools that need that mental health wellness, a sense of belonging in our community. And so I am looking forward to our continued partnership, and
Yeah.
I hope the rest of my colleagues feel the same way. Thank you, Dean.
I'll just leave you with a photo of Oasis.
All right, thank you, Dean, for being here tonight, appreciate it, and Jennifer as well. All right, item D tonight is a public hearing regarding the 2022 to 2023 Community Development Block Grant, or Cdbg, action plan. Peter Donovan is here to present. Peter.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. We are coming to the end of our draft action plan, annual draft action plan, community comment portion of our CDBG plan. So what this is an annual action plan is a one-year plan of how the city plans to meet the goals and objectives that it laid out in its consolidated plan. A consolidated plan then is a 5-year plan. It went from 2018, goes to 2022, and so we'll be taking a look at that next year as well. But meeting those goals and objectives that were set forth. And this year we have as we usually do, a 30-day public review comment period that started March 29th. It ends this evening. And during this time, the public's been able to take a look at the plan that we have proposed with the money that HUD has provided to us. And we actually don't know the exact amount of what that allocation will be this year. HUD tells us that we'll know by the end of May. So we've been going with an average of what we've got over the years past, and that's about $380,000. So with that number, we've assigned percentages to some of the requests that we heard. Back in January, February, we invited the public to come and talk about what the needs are in the community, what they see as projects, maybe programs, facilities that house those programs. What are the needs that are a good match for CDBG, Community Development Block Grant dollars? And we had some agencies come and talk with us. Friendship House was here, and some other agencies. Community Action was here, Volunteers of America. And we took those requests and also any requests that would come in from the public. We assembled a plan and again assigned percentages in place of hard numbers right now. But again, using that figure of 380,000, our plan includes a flood wall project loan repayment, as it does every year, the $110,000 that we pay back, a Section 108 loan that the city took out in 2012 for the flood wall. That's wrapping up. We've almost got that paid off. We use CDBG funding to pay that debt service. So the plan also includes some administrative costs. It includes addressing the supply of affordable rental housing. And Friendship House has come to the city and identified some fairly urgent needs to repair a lot of their facilities, including their transitional housing and their shelter as well. There are a couple of amendments tonight that you have the option of approving in the action plan. Those amendments are, a couple of them are some housekeeping items where if money gets unspent in a plan year, a past plan year, we talk with the agencies and find out who would best benefit from that, from those extra dollars. So those have been assigned in this plan. And also an amendment that allows the city to consider in the future an additional second separate Section 108 loan
for the Library Commons project. One fairly significant difference, at least in the time that I've been here in this plan from over years past, was that the city has a 15% allotment allocation for public services. So most of these requests are for capital expenses. Our public service request has been 15%, which is right around $55,000, $60,000 annually. And that traditionally has gone to community action. And community action has, at least in my time, I believe for quite a while, been the only agency in the area who's requested those dollars. This year, something unique happened. We had Volunteers of America come and present to council, talk with you a little bit about their youth diversion program, used the response from council, the qualifications that Volunteers of America had in theirs to put a recommendation in this plan that community action, that they split at 10%, 10% and 5%, that 15% of public service dollars. So that's a change. And council, you'll have an opportunity tonight, definitely, to weigh in on that and to determine if that is a direction that you want to go. And this is a proposed plan, and tonight is a public hearing for those dollars. I will say that Bill Henkel from Community Action has submitted a comment to council, which I'd be happy to read into the record tonight. I don't know if council wants that, or if there is a representative from Community Action here who would like to speak, but that's also an option. So with that, and following a public hearing, staff is recommending this proposed annual action plan and those amendments that I talked about that are in the packet. Happy to answer any questions before or after the public hearing as well.
Okay. One comment that I think council may, if you may recall, Housing Authority also came to speak on a public comment about weatherization, but they did not submit a request. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that we didn't hear from them. So that's why you don't see anything on there recommended there. So, okay. Any questions? Oh.
One more thing, I'm sorry.
Okay.
There also is in here, with the amendments, Home Trust of Skagit, I think we talked about this in the fall. Home Trust of Skagit had $100,000 from a past plan, an allocation that they were unable to spend. Their board wrote the city a letter and asked if they could redirect that funding to Friendship House for Friendship House's needs. Friendship House board discussed it, wrote a letter to the city saying they would be happy to put those dollars to use. So that's a change that's in here as well.
Okay. Any questions for Peter? Go ahead.
I've got a few. I'm curious about the timeline for approval. How much, when does this need to be approved?
So we would look for approval tonight. This is the end of the comment period. We can always amend a CDBG action plan, which is always the case. CDBG, or excuse me, HUD rules are a little bit different than city rules. It's very easy to go back and then to plan if council has, or one of the agencies has a change. So tonight we're looking for approval. It is the end of the comment period. We haven't had any written comments other than the one I mentioned today.
So then the second question is, we are estimating $380,000. That's typically what we've gotten in past years. And if my memory serves me right, we generally in the action plan, we allocate all the resources coming in that year. But in this situation, I think I understand that there's the $100,000 from Home Trust that is being returned and would be reallocated to Friendship House. And then Friendship House had $100,000 for a boarding house purchase that sounds like they're not moving forward. And so they're also requesting to repurpose that money. So that's $200,000 from historic action plans. But right now there's about $123,000 here for Friendship House. So it's not the full amount available, is that correct? We're reallocating old money, and so there's actually additional funds left to be allocated?
We are reassigning past allocations,
And then this is a full allocation of this year's anticipated amount.
So it's not just 380, it's 380 plus 200,000 reassigned.
It's not, it is 380,000 for this year's plan. And then the reassignment does include those dollars and some other dollars from unspent planning, things like that. So yes, are you asking what the total amount that Friendship House would be receiving?
I've got additional questions, which I feel like I just couldn't grasp in the materials, so I spent quite a bit of time. And I know it's not a staffing issue, you're reaching out to everybody as best you can, but I'm just having a hard time following all of that. Yeah, and I had some additional questions, but I could keep asking.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay.
Unless you
All
want to wait till after the public hearing, but
There-
either way.
Yes, there is a public hearing still. So maybe you can answer that question then. So this says 123,950 reallocated to Friendship House. Where's the rest of the $200,000?
The rest of the $200,000.
So Friendship House had 100,000, and then Home Trust had 100,000. So that money's not being used for those purposes. So it's coming back to us, and we have to reassign it. Is that
Right,
correct?
so Friendship House has already had, they've been collecting, we've been setting aside Cdbg dollars for them in years past, that in plans that you've approved that are for property acquisition, to expand their transitional housing. The Friendship House they had a bit of a changeover in the board. I'm sorry if we've covered this, but they had a change in the board. The board asked to change the use of those funds to take care of their existing properties versus expanding into new properties. That coupled with the fact that it's difficult to buy property right now. So all of those past dollars, some of those some of those plans have been amended, and you've already approved that those go toward, that they be able to carry those over. This is changing the use of those funds, so it has to stay consistent with our goals and with HUD's overarching plan, and then this allows them to use that instead of property acquisition for rehabilitation of their facilities. So the total amount that this would allow for Friendship House to have, all approved, would be right around $500,000
For Friendship House.
for Friendship House.
But
Which
but
portion has been allocated previously to the
That's
Friendship
correct.
House?
None of this future program year's dollars, it would just be what's on here, the 149,000.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah.
So the 149,000 is new,
New, correct.
okay. My concern is that Friendship House has been unable to, and you're gonna have to help me out with this a little bit, Peter, has been unable to, for whatever reasons, the market, lack of land, has not been able to put that money forward. And so we're gonna take that money, and they're not gonna use it towards acquisition, but they're gonna use it to remodel their existing structures.
That's correct. That's what the amendment would
Okay.
address.
What I'm wondering is, and the percentages that are being proposed, are those, where did those percentages come from? And let me just say this maybe before you answer that. Community action has come to rely on that $57,000. And I think it's great that Volunteers of America is in the picture now, and I'm not advocating for removing Volunteers of America. What I'm advocating is, could we redirect $19,000 from the Friendship House so that community action is receiving the funding that they, past practice, have been receiving? But I don't know if that's possible because maybe these percentages are, we have to because of the federal government.
It's a great question. You're right on track. The 15% for public services is a set amount. If community action were making a capital request that fit in line, that was in line with HUD's goals and objectives, yes, we could. With that request, we could fund something like that.
So the only way community action could get there, the 57,000, I think generally that's what they, would be if we pulled the funding back from Volunteers of America.
That's correct. And on the plan, pulled the funding back on the plan.
Yes, excuse
Nothing's
me.
been committed yet.
Yeah,
So
yes,
that's what tonight is for, and that's what this time is for you to discuss that as well.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe this is clarifying, and I'm gonna muddy the waters, so, the idea that Friendship House gets a certain total amount is actually from probably a couple different amended years. So that's why it's not sort of all apparent on one document. Does that help?
It does help, and
Okay.
I was figuring that out as we were talking.
Okay.
It'd be really
It's
helpful to
confusing.
sort of see the clearly detailed sheets that you have that are tracking all of that, so that we can see the changes that have happened and how that's happened. And so that's why I was struggling a little bit, and then I concur with this concern that community action does use that money well. All of us would love to see Volunteers of America start a new youth. I don't want to speak for everybody. I thought we were pretty excited to have a new group who could do a new youth diversion program. But there's probably other ways to fund that. And I've yet to see the details of that program. So I would be really hesitant to steer money from one known entity to another that I'm not sure how they're gonna do it or when they're gonna do it and all those things. That's part of my thinking on that one.
So if we want to talk about Volunteers of America, I'm pretty excited about the program. They've been working in the community for a number of years. They've worked across the state for a number of years. They've got a proven track record. I think when Senator Pearson was here, that he kind of laid the, am I off? Sorry. I think when Senator Pearson, or Kirk Pearson was here, he laid out a really good program for the youth diversion. I think it's a need in our community. We look at all the needs throughout our community. We're talking about really a fairly small percentage of the overall. We're talking about a third of what's allowed to be allocated for those types of services. And I think that it's a service that's provided that I don't think anybody else in the community is providing at the time. So I'd like to see that stay in.
I just want to make sure everyone, that my colleagues understand, I was not suggesting we pull it out because I am I am a supporter of that. I was just wondering if we could shift. Thanks.
We
Thanks,
only
Mary.
have a small percentage
Yeah,
of
I get
dollars
that.
that can go to that
I get that now.
particular program.
Thank you.
I
Sorry.
had a question, it come to Jill or you, Peter, either one. It seems like we're kind of talking about these people or these groups that they're not using their funding because of different reasons. And you mentioned a few, but is it just the Friendship House that is not using their money, or are we running into other groups that are not using their money like we would hope it would be spent on different things? And then even like we were moving with Volunteers of America, are they ready to go? Is that money gonna get used? So I am kind of leaning towards, Volunteers of America. I mean, I like what I hear there, but if the other two are not using their funding, and that's what I'd like to know.
So Peter, let me ask you this. Each one of these, Volunteers of America, Community Action, all of Friendship House, everybody put in an application with what their proposals were. So I hear a little bit of concern maybe with Volunteers of America because they're new. We haven't worked with them in the past. What was their application like? In other words, how soon are they ready to move with a program? You reviewed it, you're the guy that reviews it, that's your job, one of them. So when you had that hat on, what was their proposal, and how quickly were they gonna be able to move on the program?
They were confident that they'd be able to get the program up and running fairly quickly. They asked for 22,000 for this program. This 5% would put them at about 19,000 with, our estimates. So it would put them in the ballpark. In a conversation with them recently, they believe it's enough, it would be enough to get it going. And they're confident that that program that does have an 80% success rate would be operating with the Skagit County Juvenile Court and Skagit Superior Courts fairly soon.
The one other entity was Home Trust of Skagit that couldn't use their funding, so that was part that came back as well.
Okay.
And those were specifically tied to the housing market and not being able to find something with the amounts that we had.
Is Community Action doing this, are they spending it all, or are we good to go on that?
They are, yeah, those public service dollars have been spent out each year.
Okay.
In full. Yeah, I would say that it's all market related, both of those for Home Trust and for Friendship House as well. They put offers on a couple of homes, and it wasn't, what they had at the time wasn't enough, and they decided to focus more on what they did have and improving that.
I have a question. What about CCS organization? They did not request anything about this funds?
They didn't put a request in this
They
year.
did not?
They have in the past for rehabilitation and for roofing projects and things like that.
Because what I heard here, all the resources in this beautiful program is being taken, CCS is the only organization who approach directly to the Latino community and farm workers. Then I was wondering if there is an opportunity for let them ask. It's going to be until next year?
Yeah, because it's already,
Yeah.
this is the end of the.
And they are on my contact list each year, so I reach out to them in January every year,
Please.
just to see if they have any needs
Yes.
that might fit in with
Okay.
our program.
Thank you.
It might be helpful, Peter, because you've spoken with Friendship House Board and they've provided you with sort of a list, if I remember
Yeah.
right. Because when we met with them, they were evaluating, I think, 5 buildings and the needs and maintenance to just preserve those units. That might be helpful if you want to share that with council.
Sure, yeah. So Friendship House has received bids for plumbing from three firms. They've also looked into, you're familiar with Barbara's House, their transitional housing location. It's in need of paint, it's chipping, they've got peeling, they've got rot and other issues with the building that just needs addressing fairly quickly. Multiple roof leaks in some of their buildings. They've got quotes from those firms and also improved ventilation on the roofing. So it's going to be a roofing project and in some cases sort of a major overhaul of those facilities.
We know that,
Absolutely. Used money, no doubt about that. The Community Action also put in a request for support at their domestic violence family shelter. Did that not make it into the right place for this action plan?
No, if that's a public services or was that
No, this was capital monies that was requested. Bill sent in a letter 2-3 months ago on that.
Was that for the county funding?
I'll find it in my email and send it along.
Okay.
That there was a
Went to all of us.
request to the community, Skagit Community Foundation.
No.
So I serve on that board. It was a request.
Oh, I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
And they may have gotten it funded in another way, so
I think they
it may
might
be irrelevant, you might know that.
I might.
so I think that while there was some money that was allocated in previous years to buy some additional real estate to provide services, this current real estate market doesn't allow for that, especially for a nonprofit. Those capital facility maintenance programs are equally as important as those facilities deteriorate because of age and weather and so on and so forth. Those need to be maintained and brought up to standards. We we've got some fairly vulnerable folks in our community that utilize these services. And, you know, we don't want leaky roofs, we don't want plugged sewers, we don't want brown water coming out from rusted galvanized pipes. But there's a group of people out here that could go in and really do a good job out there. But I don't have a problem reallocating the money to maintain some of these facilities that are providing a service to the community.
Are you ready for the public hearing? Okay, all right. With that, we will open the open record public hearing regarding the 2022 to 2023 CDBG action plan. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to that plan? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. All right. Any more questions for Peter?
So I will move the adoption of the CDBG plan.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mark and a second by Gary. Richard?
Yeah, a couple things.
Yeah.
So I would like you to read the email from Bill into the record, because I'm extremely concerned that these funds from the beginning of our entitlement as an entitlement city through the CDBG funds have gone to community action, and they have come to rely on them, and that may be a problem for them that we need to talk to them about. But from that email, it's also extremely clear how that money's used. It's used to help thousands of people in this community, including the family center, family shelter that they may have a very difficult time replacing. And it's an existing program, and I think it's not a wise idea to remove funds from an existing program that's already working on it without notice. The email also said that it was a surprise to community action that this was happening. So I would really think that we can dig deeply enough to fund both of these programs. This is not a slight on VOA whatsoever. It's sort of changing the game without communicating well and giving them a chance to, if we want to split that money in future years, we should seriously think about that. But they also need to be able to respond so that services are not dropped in process, especially for the 34 people using the shelter, the only shelter for that community in this community that there is. So you can tell I feel fairly strongly about that. I'd love to find a different way to meet VOA's needs. Councilmember Holst, I have no disagreement with that group coming in. I'd love to see them come in and help us more. So I will be voting no, and I'd love, if people need it, we could read the email so everybody's aware, but if everybody's on the council's already had the chance to read that, then I can withdraw that request.
Would it be part of the public record? Kevin, if there was an email sent regarding the subject, could it be considered a public comment, or is that really up to our?
It's a public record, it's a public comment. This is a federal HUD hearing. I don't know what those rules would be. I'd defer to our HUD expert on it. You can direct the clerk to make it part of your record. You can read it orally into the record.
Okay.
I think you have to preserve it.
Of course.
And
Okay.
in that strict sense, it's your record.
Okay. We'd absolutely preserve it in the record. We're happy to read it if council would like you to read it.
Well, I'm sure the public's gonna wonder what this letter said, so why don't we read it into the record?
Dear Mayor Boudreau and Mount Vernon City Council, we at Community Action of Skagit County have been appreciative of the City of Mount Vernon's longstanding commitment to your city's CDBG Human Services set aside to support our work in supporting Mount Vernon citizens experiencing or on the verge of homelessness. And we're surprised to learn that 1/3 of the 2022 to 2023 Mount Vernon CDBG funding is slated to be routed to another entity. Though we, of course, respect your ability to invest these funds at your discretion for CDBG eligible activities, please know the loss of this funding will impact Community Action's ability to adequately staff our Housing and Resource Center, the main reception in our Mount Vernon office, and the point of entry for those facing homelessness or needing assistance with a basic need. This funding has also supported our family shelter, the William J. Schuler Family Development Center. Community Action relies on these funds to fill the gaps where other grants fall short. Last year, 4,081 local citizens came to Community Action for help to meet a basic needs such as food, clothing, or transportation. Of those, 1,330 were Mount Vernon residents. The Family Development Center, also located in Mount Vernon, provided temporary shelter to 34 families with children who would have otherwise been unsheltered, providing them with stability while they worked with our case managers to work toward a more permanent housing situation. We understand the need is great and there is never enough funding to go around, but it is our hope that you will take these comments into consideration when making your final decision on Cdbg funding allocations. Respectfully, Bill Hinkle, Executive Director, Community Action of Skagit County. For council, I will say that this was, again, the first time that we've had two agencies, more than one agency, request this funding. It wasn't at all any comment on any one agency's ability to deliver services. Community Action's done that well. This was a decision that ultimately is for you to decide, as you've heard both of those programs now and the merits of both.
All right, so with,
Could I ask one more
oh,
question?
absolutely.
Is that all right?
Please do.
So this is the proposed amount. We're not quite sure what we're going to end up with, correct?
That's right.
So potentially, if we received more, we could consider community action at that time?
Yes. So you could, 15% will stay fixed. So whatever percent you assign to Community Action, though, for public services, they would stick with that
Got it.
amount of our total allocation.
Okay,
So this is based on the $380,000 prediction, which is really all that we can do right now.
Right, so when we adopt this, the percentages stay the same for both organizations. The dollar, it's not like
got
you're
it.
gonna get X and you're gonna get this plus whatever extra is. We're adopting the percentages, so. And I'll just add again, I think that the youth diversion program, I think long-term, the effects on that are gonna be tremendous on the community. An 80% success rate, and that's just really unheard of. And I think we're gonna give our youth an opportunity to, I know when I was a teenager, there was things that I did that I got in trouble for. I know nobody else out here never did anything to get in trouble for. But, between a good spanking from my dad and maybe a strong reprimand from the chief of police, I chose a different path. And I think that we're gonna provide that opportunity, that same opportunity, so that people, they may be starting down a troubled road, can turn their life around at a very young age before they make mistakes that last a lifetime. So I really think that long-term, we're gonna see some positive effects from the diversion program.
All right.
I just want to say I would agree with Mark on that. It is, there's a big push in the state, and rightfully so, for criminal justice reform. And this is a far more compassionate approach for youth in our community. And so it will, I know the players involved, it will be very successful.
All right.
Can we use ARPA funding or some other funding for the BOA program? Is there another funding source that would meet those needs? I know the answer is yes, but
There is. There's also other funding sources for community action. I guess you could say, look at it both ways.
okay, let's figure that out.
And I would love the community to know, I personally sat on the allocations committee for county funding for behavioral health and homeless and services. And there was significant funding awarded there as well to services in the community. So I think we can figure out ways to meet needs, not just with CDBG too. So. All right, with that, there is a motion and a second. So all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, thank you,
Council.
Peter. Item E tonight is the approval of an agreement with Cowling and Company LLC. Blaine Chesterfield with our Stormwater Division is here to present this item. Blaine?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Well, with all these hard-hitting, great discussions and great topics, we're going to talk about the flood wall, which this is the last 70 feet we need to close up in the whole flood wall project over the mainline railroad. And it hasn't been an easy portion, but we've received great solid support from BNSF on this. So let me go ahead and get on with reading this. Staff requested the City Council authorize the mayor to approve the amendment of the professional services agreement with Cowling and Company LLC, also in doing business as Widener and Associates for equipment and consulting services related to the completion of the flood wall. The amendment is for a total cost of up to $105,400, which will increase the total agreement cost to $225,400. The final 70-foot section of the downtown flood wall protection project that crosses Burlington Northern Railroad needs to be completed, and this will complete that. Work performed under this amendment will be funded as part of the downtown flood protection project budget, and the work will be performed on a time and materials basis. Wider and Associates had an exceptional record with us doing everything from environmental services to working with BNSF, who they also are contracted by BNSF to work, so that's where that relationship is beneficial for us. Widener is currently working on has been working on the downtown flood protection project and has helped to get us that plate that goes over the main line, and now we're working on the sides to either side of that are still on BNSF property. Approval of the recommended amendment for the professional service agreement will allow the city to complete the final critical section of the flood wall protection project, and whatever the council's pleasure is.
All right, we're looking for approval of that, so. All right, questions for Blaine on this particular item?
Can't wait to see it get done. So I'd move to approve the amendment with the professional service agreement with Cowling and Company.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Motion by Gary and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Blaine. All right, item F tonight is the approval of an ordinance for the mayor's salary. As awkward as this is gonna be for me, I'm gonna ask Erin Cater to please come up, our HR director, and present the item. Lots of discussion with council previous to this, so go ahead, Erin.
Good evening. So I'm here to discuss an ordinance for the mayor's salary, as just was stated. Some background to this is the mayor's an elected official here, is the chief executive and administrative officer of the city. Our mayor is a full-time mayor and is responsible for managing all of the department directors within the city. The mayor's salary is set by ordinance. Back in 2001, the mayor's salary was set to 95% of the highest management salary. From 2002 through 2009, the mayor's salary increased by cost of living adjustments and not in accordance with that highest management salary. 2010 through 2016, the mayor's salary remained the same annually. There were no COLA increases provided. 2017 through current, the mayor's salary has been increased annually by the same COLA increase that was approved for the non-represented employees. And today, the mayor's salary sits at $113,000. Recently, the City Council approved a classification and compensation study. As part of the study, the mayor's salary was reviewed and a proposed range was provided by the consultants, and council chose not to implement the proposed range. However, we've had plenty of conversations at previous meetings, and based on those conversations, the City Council determined that the salary of the mayor should be adjusted commensurate with the responsibilities and efforts required, and should be comparable to the compensation provided to full-time mayors in similarly sized communities, and to factor the effects of inflation and longevity. So what was discussed at the previous meeting was that the mayor's salary should be increased for each consecutive term which the mayor is elected. The numbers that were discussed last week and decided on were term 1, the mayor's salary would be set at $125,000 per year. Term 2, the salary would increase by 12% to $140,000 per year. Term 3, and again, these are consecutive terms, the mayor's salary would increase to $156,800 per year. And term 4, the salary would increase by an additional 12% to $175,616 per year, and would remain there for any consecutive terms that that person would serve. For each calendar year of service, the mayor's salary would be adjusted by the same COLA increase that's provided to the non-represented employees. But any upward adjustments shall not exceed that 12% of the mayor's salary applicable at the beginning of the mayor's current term in office. And then in addition, outside of the salary, the mayor would receive the same benefits that are afforded to the non-represented employees. And so with that, there are 2 draft ordinances. Hopefully you've reviewed them. They both say the same thing, they just say it in different ways. So one of the ordinance states that it's a 12%, sets the minimum salary and then shows a 12% increase. And then the second ordinance sets the minimum salary but then shows the dollar amounts that equates to that 12% increase. So staff is recommending that council adopt an ordinance that implements the adjusted compensation structure for the elected position of mayor for the city of Mount Vernon.
Any questions for Erin? And I will throw that out there anecdotally, I am the only second mayor in the history to survive to 3rd term. And I won't be a 4th, so if that helps, I don't know what that means.
So I think what council had decided on this was that we wanted to recognize the mayor for their service, their time, but to give the voters really a decision on whether they're satisfied with the mayor. So we felt that each term that the voters approved of the mayor and re-elected them, that's when they would see those pay increases. We had discussed setting the dollar amounts, so 125,000, 140, 150, I don't have the numbers in front of me, 156 something and 174. With the COLAs in between, but the second term, if you were elected your first term at 125, when you got your second term, regardless of what the COLAs were, you're gonna start at 140. So you'd bump up, so if you got an 8% COLAs throughout the first 4 years, you don't get 12% above that. What you get is the 140, and then your COLAs start again. So it's not what they end with plus a 12%. So I hope I made that kind of clear, but we wanted it to be, because we wanted voter approval of the mayor's job. So instead of council just intermittently saying you're gonna get an increase every year, when you're elected to office, you know what the salary is, you know what the job is, you agree to serve a term for 4 years. And then if you're fortunate enough to be reelected, you do a good job, you get reelected, the public's approved, then you get that next bump.
Any other discussion?
We talked about this for a long time.
I'm done
This
talking.
isn't like a spur of the moment decision by any stretch of the imagination. I guess for me, the only question is which ordinance do we want to go with? Because they both say the same thing, just spelled out a little bit differently.
Correct. The dollar amount, the ordinance that states the dollar amount is very clear as to what the dollar amount is going to
Yeah,
be at
I
the
like
starting
this.
of the term.
The first
The second proposal, was it the second proposal or the first proposal?
one has the
First.
numbers
It's the
in it.
first.
I like the first one then. I'm scrolling up and down and I got my glasses down here on my nose, I can't see anything.
What's the ordinance
And
number?
I believe,
3849.
I believe staff is recommending the one with the hard numbers.
Hard numbers, yeah.
I'll just let you know that I drafted it originally with the percentages following my notes. And then I don't like to write math out. You'd rather have just the numbers.
Set numbers.
So that's why the 2 versions.
I'd like to propose a motion that we approve ordinance 3849, stating the salary of the position of mayor. The
Second.
first
Second
draft.
that.
Thank you.
And at the same time, thank Esquire Rogerson for interpreting our lengthy conversation is well written. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll second.
I think I've got 3 seconds
Oh,
now.
okay.
But,
Do you want us to
thank
keep
you.
talking?
Okay, so
So and
Mary,
I think it's important to know that the council consider our current mayor we only considered our current mayor on where to place her in the step. When we look at the overall job of the mayor, that's how we derived what a salary should be. And then we did the steps based on terms. Council did say, you know, it's only fair, the mayor's been elected 3 times to serve the city of Mount Vernon. So we did place her at step 3. We felt that was the only right thing to do. She's been elected 3 times, so we did place her at step 3.
all right. If we can do 3 seconds, that's a motion by Mary, a second by Richard, Melissa, and Mark. All right. With that, then, please, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to council. We haven't really done a formal mayor's review since 2001, so I appreciate the hard work, as hard and awkward as sometimes that was for all of you. I appreciate it.
You
All
want
right.
to still keep talking about it?
Somebody put some
Hey,
tape over his mouth.
Maybe we should have a motion to reconsider this whole thing now. We can have the discussion all again.
All right, we've concluded our agenda items for tonight. I'll ask our city attorney if there's a need for an executive session.
There is. I invite the mayor and members of city council to enter into an executive session to discuss issues related to collective bargaining sessions and planning or adopting strategy or positions related to collective bargaining, which is exempt from the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to RCW 423140 subsection 4. Time in executive session 15 minutes. There will be no final action after.
All right, we'll be adjourned at 8:42.